Hello and welcome to the Oxford Real Farming Conference. You are joining over 4,000 delegates around the world in what is the biggest ever online gathering of the food and farming movement. We're delighted and honoured to have you with us, and we very much hope that the next 7 days will provide a unique opportunity for you to learn from and be inspired by each other. I'm the Programme Director, Francesca Price, and with me is Colin Tudge, the co-founder of the Oxford Real Farming Conference, which has taken place every year for the last 11 years in Oxford, England. This January, as a result of the pandemic, we took the opportunity to take the programme and the conference online, and we've been working with partners around the world to bring you over 150 sessions from farmers, food producers, activists, and many more people from 80 different countries. We know there's a huge number to choose from, and we don't expect you just to sit there for the next 7 days taking it all in. You can just pick and choose what interests you the most and come back to the others later. All the sessions will be recorded and available to you from there on in. As you already know, we're using a mix of Crowdcast and Zoom for the conference. You only need to book for the workshops. You just need to turn up for all the talks and panel discussions. If you need any support during this time technically, please get in touch. There should be a support line, a support email address going across your screen right now. The team behind the conference, I have to say, has worked incredibly hard to bring it to this point, and we're very grateful to them all. We've got over 500 speakers, 18 time zones, and 9 different languages. So it's been a bit of a logistical challenge. Please bear with us if there are any technical difficulties over the next 7 days. We are really trying to make sure that there isn't, though. However, for the next 45 minutes, we just want you to sit back and enjoy what we're offering you in the opening plenary. We have representatives from 6 different continents who are going to perform and speak to you, and I'd like to welcome them all here. They're performing live and speaking live from many different time zones to bring you into the Oxford Real Farming Conference. Thank you very much, everyone, and I'm going to pass over to Colin.
Thank you very much, Fran. Well, a lot of people will think that what's going on, that with all that's going on in the world, that this conference is just a sideshow. How can we spend time talking about soil science and the future of sheep in the midst of a pandemic, when the White House is under siege and Black Lives Matter and all the rest? Yet this conference has never been more relevant, for agriculture, and by which I mean both food and farming, is at the heart of all the world's affairs. It's both a victim and a significant cause of everything else that's going wrong with the world, from climate change and mass extinction to poverty, injustice, and economic inequality. In fact, agriculture is the thing we absolutely have to get right. And if we do get it right, then everything else that we might aspire to do, create more agreeable societies, look after our fellow creatures, ameliorate climate change, starts to become possible. If we continue to get it wrong, then everything else we might aspire to is compromised, not to say hold below the waterline. At the moment, we're getting food and farming very wrong indeed. But what we really need is what I call, or have been calling, enlightened agriculture, otherwise known as real farming, hence the name of the conference. And real farming is defined as agriculture that is expressly designed to provide everyone everywhere with food of the highest quality, nutritionally and gastronomically, without cruelty, without injustice, and without wrecking the rest of the world. And it's based on the principles of agroecology and food sovereignty. Yet in most important respects, present-day agriculture is the absolute opposite of what we really need. It's not designed to provide everyone with good food and to look after the biosphere, but to maximize short-term wealth. It is not designed on ecological lines, but instead is required to conform to the doctrine of economic neoliberalism, which treats all crops and livestock as commodities, which in turn are required to compete with all other commodities of all kinds in the global marketplace. And present-day agricultural strategy does not enable people at large to control their own food supply, but instead imposes economic doctrine and political ideology from on high. Directly or indirectly, then, agriculture as it now stands is a prime cause of all the world's ills of all kinds. So we need agriculture to change radically, where radical means literally getting down to the roots, and that means rethinking from first principles. And the first principles, I suggest, are those of morality and ecology. And since agriculture is involved with everything else, that means that everything else needs to be rethought as well. In short, we need nothing less than a renaissance, literally a rebirth, with an agrarian renaissance right at the centre. But the present oligarchy of big governments, corporates, financiers, and their selected academic advisors are not going to do what not needs doing. They are wedded to the status quo, and at best they will tweak the status quo, and that's not enough. So we, people at large, have to make the renaissance happen, and farmers have to be at the forefront of that endeavour, because they, meaning you, are the people who understand agriculture best, and agriculture is what matters most. The ORFC was designed from the outset to be radical, which means to rethink from first principles, and to be democratic, to engage everyone in the necessary rethinking. The ORFC Global is extending this approach to the whole world. I have summarized the basic ideas as best I can in this book, which just published, called The Great Rethink, The Great Rethink, which I'll be talking about later in the week. But apart from that, this conference, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Colin and Fran, for those words, and for inviting me. Hello, my name's Sam Lee. I'm a folk singer coming to you from sunny but cold London, and I would like to help proceedings flow by offering a song, an old folk song. And I'm very pleased that the conference has invited not just myself but other songs of the tradition from many parts of the world, of our ancestors. And I'd like to share the toast song, the Farmer's Toast, often known as Godspeed the Plough. It's a song that's been sung at harvest homes across these lands and islands for many hundreds of years, and for me is a song that really helps invoke all the wonderful hard work and the importance of what we are all doing, and what is being shared here. And I hope that the words that you gather over the next several days will, like a song, be held inside you as inspiration to do the incredible work that you're all doing. So this is the Godspeed the Plough, slightly nudged to be a little bit more appropriate for 2021. Thank you so much. If you know the chorus, as I hope many of you do, please join in. Come all jolly fellows who delight in being mellow, attend unto me, I invite you. Let's meet now, it's quiet, come let us all try it, for working will drive us all crazy. We have lawns, we have bowers, we have fields, we have flowers, and the luck is my daily alarm. So jolly be now, here's Godspeed the Plough. Long life and success to the farmer. Were it not for my seeding, they'd have but poor feeding. I'm sure they'd all starve without me. But I am content when I paid my rent, and I'm happy when friends are about me. Here we're kings and we're queens, We can laugh, drink, and sing, and let no one approach you as a stranger. We welcome our detractors, those with armies of tractors, and we'll treat them to hay in a manger. We have lawns, we have bowers, we have fields, we have flowers, and the lark is my daily alarmer. So jolly be now, here's Godspeed the plough, long life and success to the farmer. Let the wealthy and great roll in splendor and state. I envy them not, I declare it. For I eat my own ham, my own chickens and lamb, and I shear my own fleece and I wear it. We have lawns, we have bowers, we have fields, we have flowers, and the lark is my daily alarmer. So jolly be now, here's Godspeed the plough, long life and success to you, farmer. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sam. That was wonderful music, and I must say the words were very inspiring. I took special note of the writing on your shirt, no music on a dead planet, and indeed there can be no agriculture on a dead planet, no food on a dead planet. As we speak about agriculture in Africa, some of the key issues confronting farmers and citizens include land grabs. Large chunks of land on the continent are being grabbed for export cropping, export food cultivation. This displaces local farmers and damages food systems on the continent. Another issue is that of land tenure. Most vulnerable small-scale farmers don't have very persistent, more kind of tenure system, land tenure system that secures the cultivation on a particular plot or areas. And another difficult issue is that of patriarchy on the continent, where women are not able to acquire or have access to land for cultivation of crops. Now, another issue that links up to this is colonial agriculture. Colonial agriculture is the kind of agriculture that, again, is basically not looking forward to trying to meet the needs of the local population or the population of the people, but rather to grow things for export. And so this actually set the foundation for land grabbing and kind of introduced an escalated plantation type of agriculture, monocropping of particular crops for export to meet the needs of industry and people elsewhere. I guess this has led to and fed the commodification of seeds, where seeds are not seen as the containers of life, but rather as articles of trade. And so food, when people talk about food, governments on the continent talk about food, talk about agriculture, they're speaking more about items that are commodified, items for sale. They talk about market agriculture, not agriculture to meet the needs of local populations. And this is the very kind of reasoning that promotes modern agricultural biotechnology including very extreme versions that are just being developed. This brings in excessive use of synthetic fertilizers and pesticides, therefore damaging local varieties. So there's a serious erosion, there's a threat to the biodiversity of the continent, and this will affect the kind of food available. And Colin earlier said, food's about, we're looking for food. Real farming is about food that is of the highest quality and that is produced in ways that respect the sovereignty of the people and without injustices. Clearly, this means that on the continent, the struggle is today against criminalization of farmers, against the situation where seeds, natural seeds, native seeds are not being promoted. These are things that farmers are campaigning against, that farmers are working against, and it's really very difficult for the people. So on the whole, food sovereignty is the key to the future on the continent. And this is what the majority of the farmers are fighting for, is what they practice. They practice agroecology, they're working with nature, they're using local inputs. They understand that food is not just a thing for eating, but a thing for celebration, that food is life. The story of food is being lost by the uniform production of commodified food products that are only available in the supermarket rather than in the community. And I would like to conclude by saying that this system has eaten so deep and must be fought against very vigorously, and I believe that the Real Food Conference is an excellent platform for sharing ideas and tools on how to confront a situation where agriculture is about finance rather than about culture, rather about food, about social life, about people's spirituality. These are things that we need to fight against together. This is what the continent is, farmers on the continent are confronting. We just want to see to halt the loss of complexity and meaning in food systems, because agriculture is life and food is a celebration. Thank you.
Kia ora all. My name is Erin Matariki, and I am a lawyer and activist calling in from Aotearoa, New Zealand. It is my pleasure to introduce you all to an incredible multidisciplinary artist from our lands, Te Kahureremoa taumata, who descends from Ngāti Kahungunu and Ngāti Tū Wharetoa. In this next piece, Te Kahureremoa plays a kuauau pongaihu, which is an ancient Māori flute which sounds by the breath of the nose. She sings a waiata, which is a song, which she would use to help encourage things to grow, whether those are our grandchildren or the land, the plants on the land, or a purpose that we hold together. So please enjoy this time to absorb the sounds of our Māori music and our language as they travel to you through time and space from our lands to yours. Kia ora.
Hello, I think this conference is coming at a very good time. It's very important. This is Nury speaking. We're in the middle of a global pandemic. Land grabbing is still happening. Agribusiness is still having a great influence. More than ever, we think that we need to focus the debate on holistic people's agrarian reform. People need access to the land to make food, to produce food that all the peoples in all countries can access. It's a need that must be understood. We need healthy food. Food must be central to the debate. So when we talk about food sovereignty and so on, and peasant rights, we need to talk about holistic agrarian reform. We need real distribution of land. Land has a social function. We have had debates after the conference in Brazil. We have made it clear that for real redistribution of land and for land to fulfill its social function, we need more. The people as a whole needs transformation. It's not just a question for governments. There needs to be more involvement. So we need to make clear that we must keep producing food, healthy food. We need to take care of ourselves amid the pandemic, and we have to keep fighting for real access to land. We need to produce in a sovereign way using our native seeds and agroecology. This enables us to protect the environment So this conference is taking place in the situation as it is, and it's a very important moment. We need to keep coordinating, strengthening our action, so we can all see what the real situation is. There's going to be a global food summit this year. The aim is of that event is to strengthen the corporate approach. Corporations would take control of everything. They would get rid of small farmers and peasants. So we really appreciate this space that we have here. We want to keep coordinating and exchanging information, and let's strengthen food production and take care of ourselves in the midst of this pandemic. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Anna Lappe, beaming in from Berkeley, California, unceded Ohlone land, and it is an honor to join you at this opening plenary. I want to share some thoughts about what potential this moment holds for sparking transformational change in our global food systems. Motivational speakers like to tell us that in crisis, there is always opportunity. As the pandemic crashes the status quo, there may yet be an opportunity, particularly for those of us who want to upend the industrial food system. Certainly, the pandemic has exposed the flaws of a food system that so many of us have been fighting to expose and redress for decades. And yet this will only be an opportunity if we make it so. So how do we do that? I want to share two big ideas to get you started and spark more thinking during this conference. First, I believe we have to do everything we can to make sure we're making visible what this pandemic is revealing about the flaws in our food system. In particular, what it is showing about how workers are treated in our global food chain. You may have seen the headlines from here in California, where studies have found that so many farm workers have contracted the coronavirus. One study out of UC Berkeley found that 25% of those farm workers enrolled in the study had developed the coronavirus. You may have also seen the reporting from the Food Environmental Reporting Network here in the US that found that 85,000 food workers, including 52,000 meatpacking workers, have tested positive for the coronavirus. And at least 352 food workers, including 266 meatpacking workers, have died since March. The response: in one case, our Occupational Safety and Health Administration fined the meat giant Smithfield $13,494 for failing to protect its workers from COVID. While our food workers have been on the front lines fighting to get these basic protections, to secure hazard pay and paid sick leave, in most cases failing to get any of it, many US CEOs have made record profit. From mid-March to the end of last year, America's 614 billionaires grew their net worth by a collective $931 billion. This includes food retail giant Walmart's heirs Jim, Rob, and Alice Walton, who saw their net worth spike to $203 billion. It also includes Jeff Bezos, who is now very much in the food business, whose net worth spiked 79.8% from $113 billion to $203 billion. We must help people see how much the industrial food system is a driver, not just of terrible conditions for food workers and this incredible corporate consolidation and private wealth hoarding, but as many of you know, also a huge driver of the climate crisis, biodiversity collapse, preventable death and disease worldwide, and the loss of cultures and community lands, and more. So secondly, in this moment, I think it's so important that we help people see that we have the solutions at the scale this crisis demands. Here at home, we're seeing more and more leaders building political power, running for elected office with food at the center of their campaigns. We're innovating policies like the Good Food Purchasing Program, a procurement policy to ensure public dollars for food purchasing, especially in our schools, goes to food that reflects our shared values of worker well-being, sustainability, animal welfare, health, and local economic development. Around the world, regional governments are digging deep to support farmers transitioning to natural farming practices, like leaders in southern India, where I got to visit with the Agroecology Fund early in 2020 and meet some of the hundreds of thousands of farmers embracing natural farming methods there. And academics and researchers all around the world are showing the power of these ecological farming solutions. The International Panel of Experts on Sustainable Food Systems, or IPES Food, and Coventry University's Center for Agroecology, Water and Resilience are furthering the irrefutable body of evidence that agroecology is the heart of a food system that is good for people and the planet. So despite all the suffering all around me, I want to close by sharing that I do feel hope. To be clear, this is not a naive hope that comes from unfounded certainty that we will triumph. It's a hope that comes from taking action. It's a hope sourced from work, from the work of fighting for a better world. And I'm delighted to know that there are thousands, indeed millions, around the world in this work of trying to right the wrongs of our global food system. Folks like you tuning in, working to ensure that our food is a source of nourishment, farmer and worker well-being, biodiversity, climate stability, and cultural preservation. Thank you for being here, and I really look forward to joining many of you in the upcoming incredible panels and workshops. Thank you so much.
Hello, everybody. My name is Morgan Odi, and I grow vegetables in Western France. I am a peasant. I know that this word sounds strange in English, but I need to tell you that for us, gaining back the possibility of using it again has been the result of a political struggle. When I was a child, my aunt would lie to her friends and tell them that her brother was an agricultural technician. She told that because she was ashamed of the reality. My father was a farmer, a peasant farmer. That was back in the 60s, and the Green Revolution, not a very ecological one, was at its top. Pesticides, hybrid seeds, and chemical fertilizers were flooding the market with the help of agricultural technicians who were paid by chemical companies to sell these new technologies to ignorant farmers. This story happened everywhere in the world, and we lost confidence. It has been a very challenging work to gain trust in ourselves again and to be able to speak out about the disastrous consequences of this green revolution. Polluted waters with dead fishes, dying soils, the disappearance of birds and insects, and so many farmers developing cancer or dying because of lymphoma. But also to regain trust in our own knowledges about agronomy. And agroecology is a clear sign of our success in gaining back confidence in using our daily experience to develop effective and nature-friendly ways to produce food. But now we hear again people telling us that they have the solution for smart agriculture and that we, peasants, should just trust them and use their technologies. Biotech, drones, robots, precision farming, new pesticides, digitalization and massive data collection, artificial intelligence. Pretending that only these technologies can save the world from climate change and biodiversity dramatic loss. Pretending that only doing so we can feed the world population. But we observe that these technologies are actually very powerful tools to dramatically increase the power of a few huge corporations over our lives and common planet. A deeper discussion on the role of science and technology is crucial. How can we assure that the farmers, we control the technologies that we daily use? How do we stand against the growing new science feudalism that aims to take over the control over our lives by pretending that they have the truth and peasants don't know anything? How can we increase cooperation with independent scientists who are not under TNC's influence in order to develop rational solutions that are really in people's interest? How can we be critical about the science used to increase the corporation's power without falling into a kind of anti-science polarization that could serve our enemies to discreditize us? In the 70s and 80s, participative science has been an important response to the Green Revolution. Still today, a great number of researchers and scientists have not lost this dedication for the public good. Moreover, a few courageous journalists are investigating into the links between corporations and public science institutions to try to put light on conflicts of interest. The COVID crisis has dramatically increased the power of a few corporations linked to the internet and biotech industries. We face a huge challenge. We farmers, peasants, need to develop our capacity to analyze this new reality. Developing and strengthening alliances with independent researchers and journalists is crucial. But the most important, I believe, is to keep self-confidence. For me and my generation, one of the most inspiring social movements has probably been the LGBT movement, because they had understood that the key element for oppressed people is self-confidence. So they created the gay pride. La Via Campesina is the movement for peasants' pride. We organize ourselves to overcome shame, to understand the mechanism of our oppression and struggle for our rights and vision. So I wish us all an inspiring and powerful conference where we can maybe advance in some of these questions. Thank you very much.
Hello everyone, my name is Alice Cunningham of Shumei International. We are broadcasting live from Shiga Prefecture in Japan. Shumei Taiko Ensemble is honored to perform for the opening of the Oxford Real Farming Conference. Shumei Taiko considers taiko to be a spiritual practice. It is a prayer for the world peace. Our performers also practice natural agriculture, farming in harmony with nature, without any external inputs. We appreciate beauty in nature, art, and human behaviors. Beauty can uplift us. We hope the sound of taiko will connect us to nature and unite us in harmony. Please listen to a call to the spirits of nature. Here is Shumei Taiko Ensemble.